Oats, peas, beans, and barley grows. Oats, peas, beans, and barley grows. Can you and I or anyone know how oats, peas, beans, and barley grows?
Eggs are they're very porous, and that's why they go bad, because the air gets in and the goodness comes out. But so that's another thing too. If you have fresh eggs, chickens, I mean fresh eggs. We're talking ones that are not commercially bought, but and you want to have boiled eggs. You wash that bloom off and you stick it in the fridge for a week or two and let that egg age up some. And then you're peeling, when you boil them and you peel the shell off, it peels much easier because it's an older egg now. And you can test your egg age by floating them. Floating them in water. I can show you that real quick. Here's your jar. It's just a canning jar. It's a glass one you can see in. Usually I get a wide mouth jar, but I'm, got a lot of things to do this morning. So you just, you put your egg down in the water. Now if your egg stays on the bottom, you got a good egg there. It's brand new. In fact, this is like a day old. But let's see how many of these are good. Yeah, they're all going to the bottom. These are all real fresh eggs. Yep, all of them. Yeah, they're all real fresh. But if you have an egg, say the water level's here and it's kind of turned up like that, you can still use it, but you got to use it in the next couple days. If it floats, here's your water level, and that thing is floating up here, it's compost or dog food. I would say compost. That means you have a lot of gases that are floating up in the egg, because the older the egg gets, the more gas it forms inside. And here's your water level, it'll float that egg right up there when the older it is. So if you're like this, on the bottom, it's a fresh egg. If it's like this, it's getting there, but it's not bad yet. You can still use it, but use it quick. This is the good stage to make boiled eggs in, when it's like this. That or something close to that. If it's floating up like this, no baby, get rid of it. The recipe calls for 2 eggs. But that's a normal size egg, and these are pullet eggs, and they're a lot tinier, so I'm putting 4 in. Alrighty, let's give that a little stir. Remember I told you I was going to show you a secret about how to make it nice and fluffy? Well, here's one of those secrets besides adding a little bit of extra baking powder. You get yourself a small little separate bowl. Only your multi-grain is going to go in this bowl. Now, one of the best things to make your items light and fluffy is to use some quick oats. And some people can make their own quick oats. I have this that I bought commercially. I got to use it up. Now your total addition into your multigrain, into your Bisquick or your flour base, is only going to be another cup. So the secret to this is to use 1/2 cup of just your quick oats, because that's really going to make your dough light and fluffy. So in there, and now you take 1 scoop of each of the different flours you ground up. I always go from the top down. So your flavor in your pancakes is always changing, because you never know what, it's always going to be different because you rotate your flours. That's what keeps them fresh. So we're going to do 1 little scoop of this is barley flour today. That goes in your grain bowl. And then you take that bowl and put it on the bottom. So the next time you'll be using the red bean flour. Okay, and then your next one up is pinto bean. I know this sounds weird, but believe me, and you just use, If you don't like a flavor, if it is a particular bean flavor that's a little bit strong for you, you think, ooh, that's going to be too much, shy off on that little bit. You have so many different grains and beans you can be using. There's no point in making your survival intolerable. Okay, the next one up. Today is chia. And chia is a much darker grain. And it's going to add some dark speckles in your pancakes. That goes in. That goes on the bottom. And the very next one that we have today in today's pancakes is Milo flour. And that goes in. Okay, and that goes on the bottom. So the next time I'm making pancakes, it's going to be quick oats, half a cup, amaranth flour, red bean, black bean, rice, and pea. It's always going to be different every time. So we have our cup of grain and oats, that oat base. Just going to put it inside the bowl, and we're going to add our moisture for your recipe in with the grains, not in with your flour. We're going to let this soak for 1/2 hour. Now the recipe calls for 1 cup of milk. Whenever I buy a gallon at the store, I always put it into smaller containers. One, because when I take it out, I don't want it to go bad. I don't drink that much milk. I may have like half a cup every day or so. But that way it stays fresher. I only take out what I know I'm going to use. And the same thing if I make the milk by powdered, same thing. I don't make a large quantity and leave a large quantity out. But for this recipe, because you're using a lot of dry grains in there, a cup is fine, but I'm going to add just a little bit more. Kind of have to judge it. Today I'm going to use a 1/4 cup more just to really soak those dry flours. Get some moisture in those dry flours. You know, when you're holding up your survival items in your pantry, some items, they say, you know, last 6 months, some items last a year. I have some items out there that are a couple years old, and they're pretty darn dry. And mine is, I don't throw them out. I always can find a use for something. And so, oh, now, hope you can see this, but I put that extra milk in there. Yeah, see how it's kind of getting a little soupy now and thick on my mixer? And that's good. It's soaking up that water pretty well. But remember now, the moisture that you put into here also has to suffice for your flour mix, your Bisquick mix, or whatever you happen to use. So if you have to ask yourself, this is where your judgment comes in. Is this going to be enough moisture for my grain and my flour? My feeling is, no, it's not. So I want to add a little bit more milk. So about another 1/4 cup. That may do it. You can always add a little bit more later when you mix it with your flour. Okay, let it set, soak it up for about, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, till it looks nice and soft.
Oats, peas, beans, and barley grows. Oats, peas, beans, and barley grows. Can you and I or anyone know how oats, peas, beans, and barley grows?